So as percussionists, we have one huge disadvantage compared to other instrumentalists. If you're a violinist, you go to the practice room, you bring your instrument, you're set. If you're a piccolo player, maybe you bring your piccolo, your flute. That's 2 instruments. We have hundreds, sometimes thousands of instruments that we have to be good at in our lifetimes. The last Met percussion audition had 10 instruments on the list. So I want to help you figure out a very important topic today, which is how many instruments should you practice every day? At Juilliard, there's this main block of practice rooms, 3 big ones that are all connected by a hallway that goes through the middle. When I was a student, I used to hang out in that hallway and then just shamelessly either listen or walk in and interrupt people as they were practicing. It's so interesting to hear how other people are practicing. You can hear things like how they shape phrases and how they go over each section. Some people I'd hear practicing the Firebird suite, like 2 measures from the beginning of the big excerpt, and then I'd come back 3 hours later and they'd still be on that excerpt. Some people, they had like 4 or 5 instruments out. They'd just be flying from one instrument to the next. They'd practice xylophone for 10 minutes and then run something on bells and then practice tambourine for 15 minutes. There's obviously a variety of ways to do this. If you decide to go really deep and only stay on one instrument and maybe even one excerpt in a day, it's going to be this huge obsessive practice session. You can let yourself go on tangents. If you're playing kije, maybe you have to go do some flam exercises, which will lead you to some rough or some drag exercises. You're going to be able to zoom in and put every single note into the right place. But if you choose to do that, for every minute you spend on kije or on snare drum, that's 1 minute you're taking away from tambourine or cymbals or something like that. If you structure your practice in a way that you're going to get to a lot of instruments, chances are you're not going to fall too far behind on anything. You're giving everything a chance to get better often, like every day. But each day, you go into the practice room and you have to make a decision. How many instruments are you going to practice? My audition prep, when I'm preparing for an audition, includes both of these. The way it works is at the beginning, I'm letting myself really get thorough on excerpt, and I'm only practicing usually 1 excerpt a day, sometimes 2. As I get closer to the audition day, I start adding instruments and I make sure that I'm covering more things every day, and by the end, I'm definitely running all the excerpts every single day. So I have my way of doing this, but I wanted to hear from someone else, and so I asked one of my percussion idols, Chris deviney, who's the principal of Philadelphia Orchestra, what he does. Chris deviney, thank you so much for being here. The question is, how many percussion instruments should you be practicing every day?
I think you should be practicing as many different ones as you can. You're going to play a lot of them at any professional audition. I used to keep a tambourine and a triangle just at my house whenever I was watching TV to multitask. I think my roommates at the time were not too happy about it, but that was kind of their problem and not mine. Particularly accessory instruments are nice to generally just become very familiar with, and that just means literally having them in your hand, accessible and comfortable to play, rather than only playing them and practicing them for the hardest stuff written for the instrument. I would do what I call a goldfish bowl technique, which is I took the whole list, I divided it up into what would typically be a typical round, I put it on a 3x5 index card. I made 25, 30 of these cards. I would walk into the room, I pull a postcard, I play the list, I play it down. I walk out, I come back in, I pull a different card. And I do this over and over again to the point that eventually, when I get on stage live for an audition, chances are very good that one of those cards that I made up is exactly what I'm playing on stage, and there's a little bit of confidence that comes with knowing that you've already done this. This isn't brand new. This is actually a routine that you are prepared for. And so that's what I did. I have a whole system that worked for me, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it would work for everybody. I think the most important thing is trying to figure out what works for you. And that's what I work with my students, is giving them some ideas. If it works, fine. We review, we reprocess whether we're going to keep some things, throw out some other things, try different things. And ultimately, when you find something that works for you, replicating that over and over again is the most important thing.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
What it comes down to is that whatever you're doing, you can probably benefit with trying the other way. It's good to have a variety, and now's the time when you should start trying other modes of practicing. If you're trying to up your audition game, or if you'd like to find a more organized, structured approach to audition prep in order to be more prepared on audition day, then I made a course for you called How to Advance in an Orchestra Audition 101. I go into things like what the 3 major phases of audition prep are, as I'm preparing. I talk about what the committee is listening for and how you can start shaping your excerpts in order to get more yes votes from the committee. I also included the audio of a few excerpts from my actual Met Orchestra audition I took a few years ago to get my job, just so you can kind of get an idea of what it sounded like. The course starts next week. It's free, and you can go enroll now at robnopper.com/advance. Cool, thanks for watching.